First, let me say that it is an honor to have been invited to be part of this event. I'm 80 years old, and I believe my life has been a good one. I've walked behind mules on my grandfather's farm, pulled an 8-foot cotton sack down a row, served in combat in the U.S. Marine Corps in Vietnam. I got into computers when they were called electronic accounting machines. Worked for IBM during the introduction of commercial computing. And along with Saul Barenthal, we started an international business and retail software in 1983 that we built offices in 7 countries and over 400 people. Sold that business in 1997 and retired to start businesses that I believe can have social benefit. Over the last 50 years, there have been many organizations with a similar mission statement, yet food security is still a major issue. If we are to make a difference, we need to step back, look at the challenges in light of today's environment, and determine a new course of action. Much of what I say today is different from the approach taken in the past, and I ask that you be patient and open-minded as we are in a time of significant change. Let's look at the causes of the food security issue Africa faces and to discuss ways we can address them. While food security initially appears to be about agriculture, on closer examination, we realize there is more to it than that. Increasing what farmers produce when the overall economy does not ensure that those that need the food the most will be able to afford to buy it. Let's take a look at the primary contributor to food security challenges Africa faces and try to determine how we do something different so that we can reduce the food security issue. Global capitalism is the major contributor to the economic divide in food security. Its global economic business model is designed to push all the money to the top. It's not designed to provide products that the poor can afford. For some time now, economic experts have acknowledged that global capitalism is broken. If you accept that, then you realize we cannot fix the problem within the existing business model. The economic divide has increased over the last 5 years and will continue to do something unless we change the way we do things. Its concept of product architecture, patents, proprietary systems, planned obsolescence, using standard components are there to ensure the highest possible margins for each product and create products that never reach the bottom of the economy. So let's take a look at the challenge we are faced with at the local level where food security exists. These challenges have been identified by many groups working on food security, yet most of their efforts have focused on improved mechanization and changing farming practices, efforts which apply primarily to large farmers which produce commodities for export and do not in general apply to smallholder farmers which produce most of the table food. Many of these farmers still using hand tools passed down from generations. Further, I believe the current geopolitical environment, along with climate change, the economic divide, currency exchange issues, all of these will make the food security issue much worse than currently predicted. Plans that bring in products and resources from global corporations to address this issue will fall short as they are based on a geopolitical environment that no longer exists. We do not have the time to repeat previous practices. We need to adapt to the new reality. We can't fix the plan under the current model. The current global product development model is one of product architecture using international standards based on components with a primary focus on profit and shareholder value. Because their products are designed to push money to the top, global corporations can never reach the lower end of the economy. They will never reach the poor. Efforts which started back in the 1980s created an international treaty around the technical barriers to trade, which enabled the rapid expansion of global corporations and the destruction of local economies. In the 1990s, those in the bottom 50% of the economy captured 16% of total income. In 2022, they only captured 8%. The agreement has achieved its stated goal to improve global corporations' profitability. It has significantly increased the global economic divide, making the rich richer and the poor poorer. So let's look at some examples of global corporations. Apple is one of the most valuable companies in the world with products that many desire, yet people at the low end of the economy can't afford their products. Apple builds their products off the backs of the poor to sell to those in the middle class and above, continually leaving the poor behind. Tim Cook made over $99 million in 2022. The next 5 Apple executives made $27 million each, with stockholders seeing a 36% return on their investment, all off the backs of poor people. International standards are one of the key enablers for Apple and others. Of the total smartphones in the world, 70% are Android. Only the top 30% of the economy can afford an Apple phone. Regardless of what Apple says, they need poor people. How else could they move so much money to executives and shareholders? In their segment, agriculture, John Deere and Company is the most valuable company in the world. Deere and Company build products off the backs of the poor to sell to big ag and large farmers, helping create the food security issue we have today. Only within the last year, as a result of right to repair lawsuits, has Deere begun to allow anyone other than themselves to supply parts or repair their equipment. The CEO of John Deere makes over $20 million a year. Smallholders, farmers all over the world cannot afford a John Deere tractor. They are left with hand tools as their highest form of mechanization. Let's look at the factors that have gotten us to where we are and what we might be able to do about it. The problems. It's only been 3 years since the start of the COVID pandemic, January 2020. It exposed all the flaws of the global economic model. It caused many to take a deeper look at the other factors: economic divide, climate change, geopolitical environment. We understand now that these conditions exacerbate the issue for the poor. We should focus on the items that contribute to the most of the problems and find a way to negate their impact. The most significant issue we can address is the global economic business model. To reach those at the bottom, we need a new business model that leaves the money where the value is added, one that allows for local manufacturing of the products needed by those at the bottom of the economy, from agricultural mechanization to transportation, household appliances, and others. We must create an open systems, off-the-shelf parts, platform architecture for agricultural mechanization, and other segments. Not only did Raspberry Pi create a new business model, it proved the concepts of open systems platform architecture using off-the-shelf parts. Since its inception in 2012, it has achieved phenomenal success. Because of platform architecture, it has surpassed its original plan to promote basic computing science for school students in developing countries. It has now become the unofficial standard entry point into various fields like robotics, software development, computer hardware engineering, and many more, creating wealth for many small startups around the globe. There are no executives with $1 million salaries or stockholders getting money for doing nothing. It's not your typical nonprofit. From the beginning, we set out to understand how to create an environment where everything needed for agricultural mechanization could be produced locally. We recognize that the concept of platform architecture changes the engineering design process from one of building the best product for a specific problem to a design process around the problem. We started with farming as the problem, then looked at the types of farmers and the jobs they perform to establish the architecture and develop the business model. We created a business model where, with only one employee, we have shipped mechanization all over the world using a well-defined platform architecture along with open systems and off-the-shelf parts, changes the process to one of assembly. Platform architecture changes the way you look at the problem. It starts with functional. Area and spans farmer size and job. Let's take a look at that as it relates to agriculture. You start with a definition of the problem, not the product. For farming, there are two threads that impact the platform architecture: farmer type and job category. These are the foundation of platform architecture for agriculture. For farmer types, you've got hand tool farmers, minimum mechanization, full mechanization, and the job categories you need to focus on are soil prep, planting, cultivation, and harvest. The architecture has those two components, farmer type and job category. We start with the human connection and its relationship to the power source utilized by the different tool carriers. The common toolbar is the bridge between farmer type and job category architecture. By establishing an open system off-the-shelf platform architecture standards with a set of specifications and best practices for creating interoperable and scalable architectural mechanization, we create the opportunity for a new parallel business model. We have established a new concept of standards based on a set of specifications that provide for the ability to manufacture locally. So understanding the goal puts the thing I say into the proper context. The goal is much broader than agriculture. I believe that this goal is attainable, maybe not in my lifetime, but for future generations. And I believe that agriculture is the key economic engine and should take the lead. So how do we go about creating the environment for local manufacture of items needed for economic growth? Today, universities contribute more to the global economy than the local economy. Many of the best and brightest get jobs with global companies. Many leave the country. If we can establish a way for universities to focus on the local economy, we can decrease the economic divide and keep our best and brightest at home. If the local economy does not have the same support systems that global corporations utilize, there is no way to reduce the global economic divide. If the university is a business whose revenue comes from the success of the local economy, everything will change. To accomplish this, agriculture is the key economic engine that we can focus on to start with. With the business school as the focal point of control over the other schools within the university and partnering universities, the government ministry, a plan for the local economy can be established. That plan would create license and service revenue to make the university financially independent. The primary engine for economic growth is agriculture. The business school works with the Minister of Agriculture to define the agricultural growth plan to ensure food security. The agricultural school then coordinates with others to design the products and services that to deliver the required food to the people. Under the direction of the business school, the engineering school designs and develops the products necessary for increased food production. These product designs are then licensed to local companies for their production. In many cases, this could be students that help make the design. Under the direction of the business school, the IT school can develop the supply chain systems that link everything from product to consumer real time. They could also develop applications in support of education and social unity. Private sector partners and international universities understand the need for a new business model and can be convinced to contribute resources to assist in this development. This model sets in place the framework for the university to be financially independent. The university can generate revenue from business consulting to local business transaction fees for the e-commerce platform, license fees for product design, and service fees for each industry it supports. Everything I've discussed is possible. It requires we stop doing what we're doing and step into the unknown. Another way to look at it is we stop buying what makes rich people richer and take care of ourselves. It is a model for what can be done across segments: transportation, construction mechanization, cold storage, and other areas.